The Koch brothers are getting involved in Detroit's ongoing bankruptcy problems, and they're doing it through Americans for Prosperity, their conservative advocacy group. If you don't know, the city of Detroit has been in bankruptcy for almost a year now, multiple billion dollars that they need to settle, and for the past 9 months at least, they've been working with some state officials to try to figure out how they're going to close the gap. And one of the biggest areas of that is all of these pension obligations they have to people in Detroit. And so currently they have a deal that is going forward that would allow $185 million of state money to be used to settle these pension obligations with minimal cuts between 4 or 5%, which is of course good news if you have a pension in Detroit and you expected that money. That's not all the money they're going to be raising. The state and multiple different foundations are going to raise $800 million, but not everybody is happy about this deal. They think that Detroit should liquidate some of their assets, like the Detroit Institute of Art's massive collection. Apparently it's a world-class collection. They think that they should do that first rather than have state money be poured into what they see as a black hole for poor people in Detroit. And so Americans for Prosperity is going to be spending a ton of money to try to get out the vote to block this, saying that any Republican who votes for this deal will lose their next election. What do you think?
I think it's, could they become a parody of themselves? Like they so don't want people who work their whole life to get their pension. That's what they're doing right now.
They worked for it.
It's like, could you be more Mr. Potter? Could you be, are you going to call the bank examiner and swear a warrant out for my arrest? It's unbelievable that and this is the face of the Republican Party. This is the Koch brothers. And so that's what I ask, people who I know are Republicans. It's like, this is who you're in bed with. These are the people. These are your policies. You're suppressing the vote. You're screwing over retirees in Detroit. You're for pro-pollution. You're against science. What exactly do you see in the Republican? Well, I'm for smaller government. You know what I mean? That's what they'll say. It's just like this disconnect.
Can I just say this is exactly why both sides suck. So obviously we're a lot harder on the Republicans, but it was a Democrats as mayor for many years that destroyed Detroit. Most people seem to think that that's a sort of general.
Detroit changes in the auto industry over decades.
There was a lot going on there. But my general point is that they both suck. So you have one destroying, you have them both destroying the city, and then one coming up with a crappy option to fix it. And then, yes, you could liquidate the freaking artwork, and that's going to come up with a little bit of money, but it doesn't really solve anything. So these are solutions that are not even applicable to the problem.
There was a time New York was broke. I remember the headline, Ford says go scratch, or whatever it was, right? You don't remember, you're too young, but so, I mean, there are certain cities go in financial problems, and yes, they had Democratic mayors, but that had nothing to do with the fact that, our car market went through the floor and globalization.
I'm not blaming the car thing on the mayor, the Democrat. Although, what's his name, Kwame Fitzpatrick was a wonderful mayor of Detroit. He's in jail
He was
now.
fantastic.
He
and there was
really
white
good.
flight, right? So they took the money, went just outside the city limits, so they don't get the tax base anymore. So there's a lot more problems happening. And, if you listen to George Will, he'll tell you the problem with Detroit is that there's too many single moms in Detroit. So there's a bunch of Bristol Palins fucking shit up over in Detroit for everybody.
Well, I didn't expect that reference in this story. But there is some good news in this story. So the argument that Americans for Prosperity and the Koch brothers are going to make is they're going to go statewide. They're going to get they want to get 90,000 conservatives to go throughout Michigan and convince all the people living in Michigan that they are wasting your money on people who don't deserve it in Detroit, and they're going to get them to try to oppose it that way. But there's actually good news. Apparently Michigan, as of now, is not falling for it. And so I went and I found a poll on this issue from a couple of months ago. First, we've got, do you favor a proposal to provide state funding to Detroit, the basic part of this deal that we're talking about right now? Total 49% favor it, 34% oppose it. So most are in favor of state funding for Detroit. Specifically when it comes to the issue of helping to deal with the pension obligations in Detroit, when you know that is what it's going to go towards, 46% say they make that they are even more likely to support it. 37% says it has no influence, 13% less likely. So when you bring that up,
that is the wordiest graph. It's like a dictionary. Yeah. Did a dictionary throw up on your graphic? We provide all the information.
Jesus but anyway, Christ. The most important stuff is what Arena capitalized for us. So it makes them even more likely to support the deal when they know that it will go to people who deserve it, people who work their whole careers for that pension money. And then overall, we have 62% favor it, 32% oppose it. Now look, they're going to pour millions of dollars into Michigan to try to get people to become more selfish, to lose their empathy for the people who worked their entire careers for that money. But so far it doesn't seem to be working, and so that, I think, is a rare good sign. The Koch brothers are getting involved in more and more elections across the country. Not a lot of people know about the Koch brothers just yet, despite the fact that Harry Reid is talking about them in the Senate pretty much every day. We talk about them on this program a lot. But there's a lot that people don't know. A new movie is coming out. It's called Koch Brothers Exposed. It's made by Robert Greenwald, who's made a lot of political documentaries in the past. We've got a trailer for you.
The Koch brothers are the poster boys for the top 1%. Their money, their power, fuel the growing inequality in America.
Day in and day out, we see the Kochs using their billions to purchase politicians, taking a terrible toll on democracy as they knock down the middle class.
Billionaire industrialist Charles Koch said he wants to eliminate the minimum wage because it creates a culture of dependency.
I think the fact that the Koch brothers are trying to take away minimum wage is ridiculous. And I couldn't imagine anybody making that much even being concerned with somebody making minimum wage. It just doesn't make sense to me.
I'm not against people who make money, that's fine. But what they do with their money isn't fine with me.
Citizens United is a perfect example of how the Koch brothers worked to spend millions more to buy the public policies they want.
It's like they already bought the House. The Koch brothers can buy the Senate. Then what's next? You're going to buy a president?
Yeah,
So,
you can't let the Koch brothers buy a president, John. That's what Wall Street's there for.
Yeah. It would set a bad precedent that our politicians can be bought.
Yeah. So maybe I haven't seen this film. And
Harry Reid, totally independent, by the way.
Yeah.
He's an independent thinker.
Glenn Greenwald does great work over at Brave New
he
Films.
does.
And so I have to see this before, I can't obviously judge it, but I think it would be nice to just, just the influence of money in general, and not just the Koch brothers, right? Because look at Wall Street. Look what they're doing to Barack Obama right now. Look at net neutrality, what just happened. Barack Obama got bought and paid for. And I mean, it is the Koch brothers. They're part of it. But Barack Obama's policies just as bad for the working man.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so this movie is now being screened in multiple areas of the country. I haven't seen it yet, but the reason we're covering it is because like we said, there's very little that is often said in the TV, on the news about the Koch brothers, and they're possibly the two most significant players that aren't currently in elected office. We need to find out more about them. This is, of course, probably not going to be the most balanced documentary in the world, but it will educate people about them. Yeah. I think that's valuable.
Let's find out what the money trail was that led to that net neutrality ruling, right?
Well, they know what
Robert,
the money trail is. I mean, Tom Wheeler, Cenk did a great video on this. Tom Wheeler, who is the head of the FCC, was a campaign bundler for Obama and also a lobbyist for the telecom industry. Mm-hmm. But related back to this real quick, that woman, the mother there, who says that she can't imagine why someone with that much money would care what the minimum wage is. I think that's the line, at least, of the trailer, because it's like, really think about that. At the human level, like, forget all the politics about it. Why, if you have billions of dollars, you're doing okay. Why would you make it something on your agenda, your personal agenda, to remove the minimum wage? I mean, think how warped that is. And I would guess that in their mind, they think, well, we're going to help the economy somehow because robots, I guess it's always robots, I guess will come in and do those jobs or something, I don't know. But like really, to just like at that level that you would
I just go back to Trading Places with Eddie Murphy, those two, it's just all a game to them. And they don't really see, they lack that connection in their brain that has empathy that connects them to other people. So they're kind of like sociopaths, I think, the Koch, because they have another brother who's not like that. Mm-hmm. They have another brother who got out of the business a long time ago. I was like, you guys are fucking nuts.
It's an addiction.
And so, these guys, it's like an addiction of like, how much can I accumulate? How much more? It's like when the millionaire goes out and keeps buying more and it never fills them up, and that's what they're doing. But they have incredible power, and that's fun.
They make in an hour.
It's fun when people bow down to you. It's fun to be Sheldon Adelson. It's fun to be the Koch brothers. It's fun to have people come kissing at your ring so they can go run the country when you run the country.
I mean, powerful.
It's all about power and money and like a sociopathology. Thank you.
I don't know that that's a real word, but that sounds good. Sounds good. It should be if it's not.
I got my master's degree in the School of Hard Knocks.
Wonderful. I get the reference you're making. So I think you were going to mention the minimum wage there.
Yeah, well, it said there 78 hours. They make in in 1 hour they make what it would take a minimum wage worker to make in 78 years.
Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
Well, I like how he said that Go ahead.
Well, really fast, I would say that one of the things they showed in the documentary was this house is $37 million. This is I don't generally like that because I don't think that actually convinces people. Like, I don't think most Americans are that resentful.
Yeah, I also think they should have more expensive houses. Why would you only have a
36? Build a fucking castle.
Yeah, really, a $7 million
Dracula's castle
house
is up for sale. But why it does matter is because you have to bear in mind that these people are against the minimum wage. They think that if you could be paid 10 cents for your labor, that's what you should get paid, while they're making, over $100 billion they have.
Well, I like the quick quote where he said, the minimum wage makes them dependent, creates a cycle of dependence. Yeah, they're dependent on their job. They're dependent on their job that they go work at.
They're working.
Like everyone in the world is dependent on their job. Oh, it's going to create a cycle of dependency. They're going to think that they can just work and get themselves out of poverty by working.
Where could that lead?
We can't have that kind of notion.
No.